I would like to congratulate myself on completing a full year, that's 12 months, of listening non-stop to Sleep Token. It was April of last year when I finally decided to take the chance to listen to the summoning. And just like that, I was hooked permanently. I'm officially a Class A worshipper. Kidding. Anyway, when you're an avid fan of any band or artist and you listen very often or even every day, you start to dig up, examine, and even scrutinize the music. And you discover things that some other listeners wouldn't notice. I've done that to every band that I've been obsessed with: Metallica, Megadeth, System of a Down, and today I'm doing it to Sleep Token.
All of the clues are coming together.
Here are 22 things you did not notice on Sleep Token songs. Easter eggs, buried details, and even some slip-ups. We're starting with the very first song, Thread the Needle. The first thing that you may or may not have noticed is the familiar voice that you can hear in Vessel's vocals. You can hear him on pretty much every early Sleep Token song, and it's incredible how similar the two voices are. Of course, I'm talking about Corey Taylor. Young Vessel and first album Corey sound like 90% the same. By the way, I believe Slipknot are one of Sleep Token's top 3 or 5 influences. You can check out my 2 lists of possible Sleep Token influences in these 2 videos right here. Number 2, we're still on Thread the Needle. There's an issue that I never imagined Sleep Token would have, especially on records, given that these guys are supremely talented. It is a timing issue. The keyboards in the first and second verses are slightly not on time, strangely, and therefore the vocals on top of those keyboards are also not on time. And don't start telling me, oh, it's on purpose, it's part of their style, it's artistic. No, clearly there's something wrong here. Or defend them and start telling me, oh, they're just humans, everybody makes mistakes. Because I get that comment a lot. Well, I understand that slip-ups can happen even on records, but this is a timing issue and it should never happen. On stage, absolutely, happens to everybody. That's absolutely normal. But I think it's inexcusable when it happens on the final records. Because nowadays you can take vocals that are completely off time and make them sound like they're perfectly on time, which is unfortunate, by the way. So you get the point. Number 3, we got some familiar chords. On the very next song, Fields of Elation, the clean and distorted chord progressions have always reminded me of a particular song by metalcore band Killswitch Engage. And while the Killswitch influence can be heard on some other Sleep Token songs too, this one has a much more obvious one. And the song I'm talking about is My Curse. The clean chords and plucking patterns are very similar, but the distorted chord progression is the same as the one on My Curse. This song very well could be an homage to Killswitch, and it's gorgeous anyway. Number 4, a mysterious video. I know some people already know about this, but to all those who don't go on Reddit or might be new fans, Sleep Token fooled you.
You fool!
Did you know that the music video to Jaws is not actually the music video to Jaws? Believe it or not, apparently if you mute the video and simultaneously play the track to a different song, the audio track, magic happens. This other song I'm talking about is Nazareth. Try that later. Play the video to Jaws on your computer and on your phone, play Nazareth simultaneously, and you will have connected the dots. Yeah, so apparently the music video to Jaws makes perfect sense with Nazareth. The two are connected. But why those 2 songs? I don't know. I mean, they're not on the same record. Now, of course, I'm not gonna do that in this video because, first of all, copyright, duh. And second of all, it gets even darker and more disturbing than it already is. So absolutely not, you do that on your own time. But these guys are unbelievable at doing these things. It's like if Jigsaw one day decided to make music. Only difference is Vessel never killed anyone. At least I hope he never did. Number 5, again a timing issue. Shame, shame, shame. This time it's on The Night Does Not Belong to God, at the beginning of the bridge. Try to count it, he gets to the second line a bit sooner than he should. Again, I don't understand how this happens, but anyway, I'm gonna talk more about it another time. Number 6, unfortunately we're skipping the rest of Sundowning, and some of the second album too, because Alkaline has a lead melody that's played on the keyboard that reminds me of the one on The Offering. Possible reference? Maybe, I don't know what to make of this. But you could totally swap the 2 and they would still sound awesome. Plus the overall rhythm is not so different on both songs. Number 7, Next up, Descending has a pretty similar song structure to that of, you guessed it, Dark Signs. Someone in the comments called it Dark Signs' sexy trap-loving brother. Okay. Honestly though, I don't really like that song. I'll talk more about it later. Number 8, let's move on to the closing track, that's Missing Limbs. Missing Limbs has a noise outro in case you've never listened to it fully. And I wonder what people who had listened to its entirety thought the first time they heard Chokehold. Because the outro and intro of Missing Limbs and Chokehold respectively are pretty much just noise. So is it symbolic? Was it pre-planned, or did they just come up with it while writing Chokehold? It sounds like a continuation, like picking up where they left off. So tell me your thoughts. Now number 9, The Summoning, baby. Oh, this one's interesting. Did you know that The Summoning, in its entirety, like all of it from start to finish, is in 4/4 time signature? Yeah, I know, it sounds like Dream Theater, but it's actually more like Meshuggah. That's the Meshuggah effect. They sound like they're playing in some odd time signature, and I've talked about this like a million times, and I'll talk more about it. But it's actually 4/4. Number 10 is also on The Summoning. This time I'm sensing that there's a little ripoff. The second breakdown riff is pretty familiar. If you happen to be a pro wrestling fan, then I'd say you instantly recognized it. It sounds a lot like the riff from the old entrance song for WWE wrestler Seth Rollins. And it's almost the exact same one, so coincidence? I hate to say this, but I don't think so. Number 11 is also on that same song. Now it's the outro. Sleep Token have a pattern of wrapping up songs by abruptly cutting the heavy breakdown and finishing with some random ambiances. Examples: Nazareth, Levitate, Hypnosis, and Alkaline. On The Summoning, if they were to repeat that pattern, the song would have ended with those ambiances. There would have been no funky outro. Now imagine how big of a missed opportunity that would have been. Instead, they broke that pattern and decided to evolve musically while giving people something they had never heard before. Maybe they're also trying to tell us something really symbolic. Number 12, Dark Signs again on Aqua Regia in the second verse when he sings, "In these days I'm a picture frame, screaming at the sunshine, singing in the rain." If you listen very closely, the melody he sings on top, the backing melody, always reminded me of the signature Dark Signs melody in the intro. Do you agree or not? Your thoughts. Number 13, still on Aqua Regia. The chords in the second half of the chorus are exactly the same as the ones in the second half of the second verse on The Love You Want. Only difference is the key signature. Other than that, they're the same. So like if you transpose The Love You Want up one semitone or Aqua Regia down one semitone, they're exactly the same chords. Same chord progression, same intervals. Number 14, one last thing on Aqua Regia. There's some chit chat going on in the background of the interlude, that gorgeous interlude. What is that? Let me know in the comments if you have a clue what that is. I'm so curious to know. Number 15, Southern Rock elements. On Are You Really Okay, the saddest song ever written, you can hear some really subtle characteristics from Southern Rock. Doesn't sound like Sleep Token at all. So there's the overall mood, especially that of the vocals. And near the end, there's this. Did you hear that? Is that a slide? That sounded to me like a guitar slide. I don't know, but that's so odd yet so beautiful. Totally not a Sleep Token thing. Number 16. On the very next song, The Apparition, the guitar arpeggios played in the intro are basically the Are You Really Okay arpeggio, only in minor. I mean, that's the very next song on the album. That's so cool and interesting. But what it could mean, I have no idea yet. Listen to it. It's the same one altered from Mixolydian to minor tonality. That's such a brilliant idea, whatever the meaning is behind it. Number 17, also on The Apparition. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but the trap beat is absolutely sick and very difficult to play. Listen closely and notice what's happening on the hi-hat. So the beat is only 2 measures that loop throughout the verse and the outro. The really cool thing happens on the third beat of the first measure. It's so tiny, it's so mind-blowing. What happens is that the drummer plays a triplet on the hi-hat while simultaneously playing 16th notes on the kick. That is so incredibly difficult. That's a polyrhythm, but a very difficult one. Polyrhythms can be much simpler than that, like playing fourth notes and eighth notes at the same time. But this is something else. No wonder he only plays it on one beat every 2 measures. This is really impressive. Number 18, still on the apparition, there's a melody on top that's reminding me of, you guessed it, Dark Signs again. It's played over pretty much the entirety of the song, but it's mostly audible in the intro and outro. And it's reminding me of the melody that's played over the second verse of Dark Signs when the beat joins in. Again, let me know whether or not you agree with me on this one. Next, number 19, Do You Wish That You Loved Me? Again, Dark Signs. This time it's the sung melody, more like the wailed melody, the melody that Vessel wails right after the first verse. Seriously, what's with that song? I'm getting convinced that there are multiple references and callbacks to it. Or is it just me? Number 20, now we got Rain. Love Rain. You probably know already that there's a possible lyrical reference at the very beginning to the song Mine. That's most probably true. But what you didn't notice is that the melody that Vessel is singing is not so different than the one on Fields of Elation. Possibly another callback. Number 21, finally, Euclid. What do we got on Euclid? Well, first, I believe there's a lot of symbolism on this song. The guitar chord progression changes every time. The first part, it's still the autumn leaves, ends with 2 chords, B flat in its first inversion and E flat 5th. Well, technically it's D augmented, no third, because this is guitar. But in this context, we have to call it B flat, and I'll tell you why. The second one, The Night Belongs to You, ends differently with E flat 5th and F 5th. And this is the one that transitions into the outro. Now allow me to educate you a little bit. There's a thing in music theory called the cadence. A cadence is the end of a phrase in a song that creates a sense of resolution that could be full or partial. It's a progression of 2 or more chords. So since Sleep Token likes to use a lot of symbolism, let's look at the cadences we have at the end of each phrase. The first one has a plagal half cadence, 1 to 4, which doesn't offer a complete resolution. Not a very happy ending. But the second one ends with a half cadence, 4 to 5. This one is a complete resolution. You may not know this, but I'm sure you feel it every time. When a phrase ends with the dominant chord, that's the 5th one, it creates a sense of anticipation of the next chord, which is normally the first one, the tonic. Now think of this, what could Sleep Token be telling us through all of that? Because let me remind you of one thing, the cadence right before the outro, the happy ending, is the half cadence, which ends with a dominant chord. So I think it symbolizes redemption, confidence, security, and hope. It's absolutely genius. By the way, I talked a little bit about Euclid in my last video, you can check it out. And please, if you have any questions about the music theory that I just briefly explained, please don't hesitate to comment. Number 22, one last thing on Euclid. Did you notice that the outro vocals are sung in a deep voice? Definitely deeper than the voice that Vessel sang in on The Night Does Not Belong to God. That's a mouthful. You know, that should have been the title of the album, not Sundowning. These guys love long titles. That also symbolizes something really important, I believe. I think it's the maturity, strength, and growing up of the protagonist. God damn it, this guy's a genius. I can't believe it. I'm mind blown. I'm done here. I can't take this anymore. Thank you very much for watching. That's all I got today. Please take care of yourselves. See you next time. Have fun.